Welcome to this episode of the People Dividend. I'm your host, Mike Horne, and I am absolutely to be in our virtual studio today with new author, Delphia Howes, Delphia L. Howes, as she sometimes goes by. And she is the CEO and founder of D Howes Solutions, LLC, a consultancy specializing in diversity and inclusion, and as the Chief Inclusion Officer for the U.S. Department of Energy's Oak Ridge National Laboratory, ORNL, ORNL. With over 2 decades of experience, she is recognized as a forward-thinking leader in human resources and diversity and inclusion, adept at helping organizations harness human capital and diversity to cultivate inclusive environments. Known as the inclusion strategist, Delphia's expertise lies in developing and implementing HR and D&I strategies, facilitating talent development through training, mentorship, and leadership coaching, managing affirmative action plans, and delivering impactful keynote presentations. Delphia has contributed in so many ways, different conferences, panels, publication. She's a collaborator across and up and down the organizations. As the Chief Inclusion Officer for ORNL, which is this prominent scientific and energy research facility, she engages in consultation, collaboration with all units to drive initiatives aimed at recognizing and mitigating disparities hindering inclusion, diversity, and engagement. And she plays a pivotal role in prioritizing strategies there and interventions that foster and sustain an inclusive work environment. Certainly a lot to discuss on these topics of diversity, equity, and inclusion today, and where are we, and some of it seems like giant regression to me, but I'd like to get your thoughts on that. And she's contributed as a member of the Diversity Inclusion Expertise Panel for the Society for Human Resources Management. That's one of the organizations to talk about. And held the position of president for Sherwood of Tompkins County, New York, consistently demonstrating her dedication to advancing HR and D&I initiatives by actively participating as a board member and trustee for various organizations. Additionally, engaging with college students as adjunct instructor, imparting knowledge in HR, D&I, and business principles. That's quite laudable. That's great, Delphia Howes. And she earned her BA from the University of Pittsburgh, an MBA from Point Park University, a project management certification from Villanova University, so the Eastern Pennsylvania and the Western Pennsylvania. Currently working towards a doctoral degree, maintains assurance as CP certification. Additionally, the new author of her just released book, Including You, Leading Inclusion from Where You Are. So yes, I'm very excited to have you. You're Delphia Howes. Why don't you tell your story to our audience? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much. That bio really encompasses a lot. My background is really something that has been rooted in the opportunity to figure out how do we work together effectively. So I grew up in the city of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh school district. And, it's very interesting that I have a variety of backgrounds all of my life. And I've never felt the disconnect from one part. I always felt exceptionality. And I had the opportunity throughout outside led to have the opportunity to work with and meet people from outside of the city, outside of the community, from different countries. What was I enjoyed that. So having that opportunity to do that in my career really helped me to hone the skill of connecting with people and realizing the power of being connected and the pain of being disconnected from environments and being excluded. So throughout my career, as you've read, I've had the opportunity to work in different industries, many different types of people across the country, across the globe, quite honestly. And it's just been a wonderful journey for me to do what I do, enjoy what I'm doing, and get paid for it.
Tell us about the book.
Yes.
Tell us the origin story, why it's here now, why now.
Yes. So this is a book that's been in the making for a very, very long time. You know, I've been doing this work for more than 20 years, actually about 55 years. And throughout my career, people would ask, why don't you just write a book? You know, I do
Right.
solicitation. And I'm like, nah, nobody really wants to hear what I have to say. Finally, I decided to go ahead and sit down and do the work. And the book is about how do we create environments that are inclusive, that are not relegated to the responsibility of only managers, chief diversity officers, human resource departments, but really encompasses the responsibility of all employees. Everyone has an opportunity to help create a more inclusive environment. And so this book really speaks about that transition and thought process of how we can personally take responsibility and lead inclusion from wherever we sit within an organization. It really speaks about how do we transform our workplaces into, you know, these places of inclusive havens where exclusion is not, you know, a reality for the majority of employees, for any employees, and helps us to really focus on taking responsibility, being a part of the opportunity to create that space and sustain it as well.
Yeah, that all really resonates with me, Delphia. And I think there are two actions that I would recommend to all executives. One is to get out of your chair and to talk with people, and people that you might not normally talk with. Have, you know, focus groups, listening groups, whatever you want to call them. But look for opportunities to talk with others. And secondly, learn to say hello. I think those are two really, you know, like good inclusion practices for executives.
I agree with you 100%. And here's the interesting thing. Those are two very basic and elementary things. A lot of people make this work of inclusion so very difficult. They think they have to take a new role or responsibility in order to do it. And it's very simple, just as you said. Welcome people into the environment. Let them know that you're there. Say hello. Smile. Right?
Mm.
You walk in the hallway, you come across a colleague. Don't look down at the floor and all of a sudden get interested in the lint that's on the carpets or what have you. But actually say hello and engage with people and recognize that there are people, we as humans want to connect. And the worst thing that we can do, or have been doing, I would say, in our workplaces is not creating that space for people to realize how to do.
And it seems to me that as we record this in the third quarter of 2024, DEI efforts are under attack. You know, it seemed that we followed these, I don't know what the pattern is, but certainly there was a big emphasis on DEI, DEIB following George Floyd. You know, and now it seems almost like just the opposite. I had one HR publication tell me to tone down my inclusion writing a little bit, and I was surprised. And then I thought this recent action by the Society of Human Resources Management, representing 340,000 HR professionals, decided they don't need to put equity in D&I anymore. It all seems kind of regressive to me.
Yeah, it's a little painful for me, simply because I think that we've not done this work a great service. If you know, if we think about it, we've been here before, just in a different time period and with different language and different actions. But we've been in this space before where we're trying to segment and parse out words and things of that nature and create this dissent and disconnect. unfortunately, the language that we use has not evolved to the time for which we're in. And couple that with the fact that, again, we've not done this work a great service. We've not been consistent in what we're talking about. You ask 10 people what diversity, equity, inclusion means, you're going to get 10 different responses, right? So how can we be on the same accord if we really don't understand what we're talking about in a unified way? And so, unfortunately, you're right. There's a great attack on diversity, equity, inclusion. SHRM has stated that that we should remove equity. Well, here's the reality. My perspective is inclusion is the key, simply because you will not have diversity if you don't have an inclusion, right? People are going to leave, people are going to move. Diversity is about the head count. Inclusion is about making heads count. So if we're not making those heads count, diversity is not going to be a reality. Equity will come. Equity is a natural part of that. And to say that we're removing it, I don't know that we're doing a service. I think we need to clarify what we're talking about so that we can continue to have dialogue around it. I don't believe that the words are going to stop the work. The work is a natural.
Good way to put it.
It just is, right? If you have people, the work is going to happen with regard to diversity, equity, inclusion, etc. But I believe that if you lead with inclusion, you have a better opportunity to get greater diversity, have your diversity stay within your organizations, and manage equity in an effective way.
And Delphia, you've done some adjunct faculty work as well, it sounds like. Can you talk a little bit about that and what things you've taught?
Sure. So as of late, I've taught human resource practices, business law. I've taught professional writing, and I think I've also taught, for it's not necessarily college, but high school SAT preparation.
Oh, right.
So, all of those experiences, I've had the benefit of seeing students from various backgrounds who wanted to be included. Now, at the time, I was focused on, sticking with my curriculum and the syllabus, et cetera. But the reality is, if I look back and reflect on those experiences, inclusion was always a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, particularly with my human resource courses, the students were so very interested in figuring out how do we truly engage in food. And again, the only way to do that is to create inclusive environments, which precipitate safe spaces, which precipitates trust. All of these things that necessarily are byproducts of inclusion.
Yeah, you really can't have authentic leadership without the exercise of trust, and that certainly, I think, promotes, humanistic management, which would require us to embrace diverse people and perspectives, and to do it in an inclusive way.
Yeah.
And what makes that so hard and difficult for people?
Because we get caught up on ourselves. We get caught up on what we like as an individual, what we prefer, and the fact that, another person, another group of persons, et cetera, are not doing things in the realm or in the way in which we are comfortable with or even familiar with. And so as a result, our biases kick in. And when our biases kick in, and we don't check our biases, and we don't know how to manage and navigate those biases, it's likely those negative outcomes are going to be a reality, right? I think that biases are at the root of everything that we do. Not I think, but research actually shows that they're at the root of everything that we do. And biases are not bad, right? We all have them, right? We know that that's a reality. And the question is what you do. And if you're not checking them, evaluating them, and finding a way to mitigate negative and potentially negative outcomes of them, then we get to the place that you just described.
And Delphia Howes, what are some of the ways your new book including you, leading inclusion from where you are. How's it help the readers? What are like 3 to 5 ways it helps the readers?
Yeah. I think first it really offers clarity in terms of defining terminology. I spend the first chapter, once to chapter, really explaining and focusing on the language, getting to the point of what are we talking about with regard to diversity and inclusion. They're not synonymous. They're not, equivalent terminology points. What are we explicitly talking? So I lay that out so that we have a common language, and through those pages, we can begin to have dialogue. I then speak about the opportunity to realize that our words matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I speak on microaggressions because oftentimes microaggressions are not things that are intended, right? They're, unintended actions, behaviors, etc. And however, if they're left unchecked or managed in a negative way, guess what? They begin to bubble, right? And so I talk about that. I also talk about unconscious biases and how all of this really rests on unconscious bias. I talk about the evolution of the language and the wording that we use from 1964, right, with Title VII, right, in terms of affirmative action, all the way to now we're talking social justice. So that we added diversity, we added inclusion, we added belonging, all of these things. So I talk about that evolution of language so that we can really see how the transition is occurring.
It's important work.
See the diary. It's really an opportunity to think about an alchemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way that we are bringing all of these things together in a way to create something wonderful. So we talk about all of those elements and create kind of an alchemic mix of inclusion based off of all of those elements that we haven't explored or talked about.
Some organizations seem to be getting leaner and meaner on diversity and inclusion, equity topics. Microsoft laying off all of its D&I workforce, if that's to be believed, I'm not sure. The John Deere company, asking people to refrain from pronoun identification at work and backing a lot of their support for ERGs. The SHRM move that we've discussed.
Yeah, it's really creating a challenge.
Yeah.
I think it's rooted in fear. I really do. We're going into a special time over the next couple of months, right? And I think it's fear of the unknown, coupled with the fact that we've not done this well. I say that as a general society, U.S. society, we have not done this work well. If we did, there would be greater clarity of what we're talking about and how we're going about it. And so I think that those two factors really cause us to be paralyzed. When we become paralyzed, what do? We retract. We pull back. We try to conserve our dollars, our time, and our energy because we, and I'm speaking as organizations, are really afraid of what's ahead of us.
Now, Delphia Howes, tell our audience about your journey to authorhood.
My journey as an author that was an adventure, right? It's one of those things. You know how you have 10,000 things in your head, and you say, "Oh yeah, I could just jot that down in no time," and there we are. It's a book. That wasn't the case, right? I took some time and I did interviews with leaders and employees in various organizations. I also took some time to do some research. In grad school, that's all you do. So I was doing I did some research to really solidify and support some of the statements that were being made through the interviews. And I drew upon my own experiences over the past 20 years as a consultant, as an HR practitioner, as a D&I and HR leader, and really pull all of those things together to create this experience for individuals and for readers to be able to transform their mindset from saying, hey, I can't do anything with this. This has nothing to do with me. I, as the person that I am, can't lead diversity or can't lead inclusion because I'm not diverse. I've actually heard those types of statements, right? And so this book helps us to realize that no matter where you are, who you are, you can make and have an impact. And so my journey was very laborious, but very intentional and very rewarding in the sense that I do believe that it will make a difference.
Now, I know the book is available on Amazon, but what is it that you're offering personally? Do you have an offer as a coach, as a consultant, as an expert speaker? Or what is the offer?
Absolutely. So I love to get out in front of audiences and share stories, share information, and help people to have their light bulb go off. So my offer is willing to, have dialogue, be a keynote speaker, offer facilitation and consultation opportunities. Those are the things that I love to do. And I knock on wood, I think I do it well because I continue to, get points of interest and people and companies of interest. And, I speak at conferences. I'm speaking at a large conference coming up soon. So those are my offerings, is really to get the message out there, help people get out of their way, and help people to lead with inclusion and get away from the discomfort and potential pain of our diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility that people are becoming more and more discontent with.
Now, is this the kind of book that I can read on in one sitting? When I'm on an airplane ride between from one meeting to another meeting, or how do you suggest taking it on?
That's a great question. So my recommendation, I've read it. I think it's a great book, right? I would say that it's a book that you could read it on an airplane. You can go through the entire book, but there's some reflective activities in the book that are going to cause you to pause. Maybe I need to read that again, or maybe I need to examine that a little bit. And so I would encourage any reader of the book to not only read the material, but consume the material. Because once that information is consumed, then you can, take that to your workplace and really look for opportunities to transform the workplace or to lead inclusion from wherever you are. And so I think it can be read in one sitting or one flight. But I would like readers to really take time to consume the information, reflect, go through some of the exercises, and really challenge themselves toward moving forward.
Now, how are you enjoying the marketing and the selling, and what lies ahead on this journey? Where will we be seeing more in print and media about this journey?
Yes. So I love your question. How am I enjoying it? I am not enjoying it. That is marketing and all of that, that's, it's not my background. And there's a lot of work that I now realize goes into it. I have press releases. I'm doing podcasts. I'm now getting requests to write more, which, I have to balance my time. I only have two hands. And, social media, you can catch me on LinkedIn. Instagram, I'm getting better at that. Everyone keeps telling me to get that Facebook account. I guess eventually I'll do it. But LinkedIn is my key, and I really enjoy connecting and engaging with those who are following me and those who I'm connected with. So I will tell you, August 1st, I am doing a huge launch of various media outlets. So you will see much more of the book.
Why August 1st?
I'm sorry?
Why August 1st?
Because the book was released about a month ago. And, full disclosure, I'm not a marketer. So I know all of the nuances. And so now I have people who are experts at that who can support that process. So August 1st seems like a great time to do that, and almost the end of summer. It's given the book an opportunity to flourish on its own over the past month. It's been released for a month, and it's made the top 20 list on Amazon. It's also been a top new release on Amazon. So it's done well, but I think that my goal is to get it into the hands of
More people need to read it.
yeah, yes, and consume that information. It's information that would really make you think about how can you move forward effectively and be a part of this journey, because whether you like it or not, it's going to affect you, right?
And why do you write and speak and consult in this area?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. I do this, and my why is my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I speak about that in the book. I would not be in this space, or would not have focused on this work for so long if it were not for her. Speaking as a mother, she's a beautiful, wonderful individual. She's recently graduated from college and is getting out into the workforce. And I want her to be accepted for the knowledge and wisdom that she has and what she can bring to the table, and not discounted or not respected simply because of how she presents as a woman, as an young African American woman. If we're checking boxes, but I want her to be able to do the things that I know that she can unencumbered. And I think that if I can touch one person, one organization to shift their mindset, to bring this inclusive mindset of responsibility into reality, that's my why.
And that's very well communicated in the book, that we should encourage others to read, including you, leading inclusion from where you are.
Yes, absolutely. It is, I speak about that, I think, in the very beginning. Why's been very clear from the day she was conceived.
Mm-hmm. And as we head into the end of the year, and we're thinking about including you, leading inclusion from where you are, what would you leave people with for the end of the year on this topic?
For the end of 2024, I think that the reality is inclusion. The word inclusion begins with I, right? And if you think about it, that I is individual. It begins with I, but it also needs the letter U. So that means that if we think about inclusion, we must engage ourselves and find ways to engage others. And so that's a statement that I love to say. Inclusion begins with I and always needs you. That's what I would leave people with regard to this topic. If you think about that, there's no disconnect of us versus them. It's all about us.
Wow, that's a wonderful way to think about it, Delphia Howes. And Delphia, if people wanted to be in touch with you about your work, about what you're doing, where would they visit you? And it'll all be in the show notes as well, but let's do it this way as well.
Sure. They can reach me at my on my website, dhowesolutions.com, and also connect with me on LinkedIn, Delphia Howes. I respond to all of my messages, all of my DMs. Instagram, dhowes.solution. You can connect with me there. And those are the three areas where you will definitely be able to find me, and I will respond.
Wonderful. That's really great to know. And it's been such a delight to be in conversation and discussion with you, Delphia Howes, and to learn about all the great work you've done and you're doing, and be able to congratulate you on the launch of your recent book, including you, leading inclusion from where you are, such an important topic for today. So Again, thank you so much, Delphia Howes.
It's my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Definitely a pleasure to talk with you and share this information. And I'm grateful.
And until the next episode of the People Dividend, stay well.